Well, hello, everybody. I'm Shaniqua, and I guess I haven't been here in a while. But tonight I would like to share with you a story I wrote entitled Home Alone Memories. By sound of clap, how many of you have seen the movie Home Alone? Good deal. So y'all know what I'm going to be talking about. So, if you didn't know, this is the 25th anniversary for the movie Home Alone, which came out November 10th, 1990. And my boyfriend and I went in November to see the movie for the anniversary because they were showing it in the movie theaters for the celebration of the 25th year. And I told him, I remember going to see this when I was a little girl with my family at the movie theaters. Now, at that time, I had sight. I wasn't blind yet, so I actually got to see the movie. So, I got to thinking about it. Well, he was like, well, who did you go with? I said, I went with my parents and my brother and sister. And my older sister took her friend from church, Diana Oringer. And so it got me to thinking about other memories about the movie Home Alone. Like, do you remember the part where Kevin puts his hands on his cheeks and after putting the aftershave? And that really caught on at the time for some reason, and every kid would do that. And of course, it was so cute and adorable and just so sickening cute. And I was probably one of those kids who did it. And I was also thinking, I was like, I don't really remember my parents taking us to the movies. We didn't have a whole lot of money, so we couldn't afford to pay for each, kid and person to go to the movies and whatever, let alone take a friend too. And I was like, I wonder, did we really go with my parents? And so I started questioning my family and asking, hey, do you remember going? Do you remember going? And my older sister didn't remember really. My brother said, yeah, he remembered, and he thought my dad was there. So I was like, well, if Dad was there, Mom had to be there, because Dad wouldn't have taken us to the movies by himself, And so I asked my dad, and he's like, no, I don't really remember. He's like, well, what movie theater would we have gone to? Because I grew up in a little town in North Texas called Wichita Falls. Has anybody ever heard that?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, cool. So that's where I grew up. And he was like, well, what theater would we have gone to? Because there wasn't really very many movie theaters. And he's like, well, it had to be Psych Center Mall. And I was like, oh yeah, Psych Center Mall. And that got me to thinking, it was probably around Christmas time. They probably had the Santa display set up in the middle of the mall. And I remembered always liking to go look at the Santa display. We didn't ever get to take our picture with Santa because we didn't have money for that either. And see all the happy kids waiting in line to go sit on Santa's lap while he's sitting on the throne, and the big Santa house behind him. And it was all surrounded with a white picket fence and big fluffy cotton clouds to simulate snow and candy canes and, all the little elves all around the little, Santa village or whatever. And we just like to go and look at it and just, wow, that's really Santa's village, and it was just, a really special treat to go and see the movie. Because like I said, we didn't ever really go. I remember my mom taking us to go and see, at the museum for 50-cent movie day, to go see Mary Poppins or Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or an older movie like that. And so, whenever I was asking my dad about it, he couldn't really remember. And he was like, so does that mean you're going to leave this decrepit old man out of your story? And I told him, no, that is the story. Because one thing I learned, and I'm also a member of the Central Texas Storytelling Guild, one thing I learned in the Storytelling Guild is don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. That was 25 years ago. If we can't even remember, who else is going to say, no, that's not how it really happened? It's like, so that's the story. I went with my parents and my brother and my sister took her older friend. It was a really rare, special holiday treat, to go and see Home Alone. And then I remember after the movie came out, this was several months, this was in September because it was my cousin's birthday, and he just really wanted to rent the movie Home Alone. That was back in the day of VHS, kids, when we had VCRs in things, places called Blockbuster and Hollywood Videos, you know, where you would have to go to a store and get a membership and rent a movie for X amount of days, you know. And so I remember he wanted to rent Home Alone for his birthday, and his mom wouldn't let him, and he was so mad. And, you know, it was my Aunt Susie, and she, you know, she wouldn't let him. He's like, why? Why can't we rent it? We went inside at the movie theaters. Why not? You know, it's so funny. I'm going to watch it. You know, it's my birthday. And she told him, well, I don't like how that kid talked to his mom, you know, or whatever. I didn't like his attitude or whatever. Because, you know, he kind of did have an attitude. And so, but later she told me, I already got it for him for his birthday. But of course he didn't know that, and she didn't want to rent it because she already bought it for him. So of course he found out later, you know. And so when we went to see it last month, my boyfriend and I watching it, the host was like, he talked about a few scenes in there. He talked about that Joe Pesci was really mean to Macaulay Culkin because he wanted him to be afraid of him. Because, you know, he played one of the, he played one of the wet bandits. So he wanted, you know, Macaulay Culkin to already be afraid of him. So he was mean to him, I guess, you know, off camera or whatever. He was still mean to him. And then John Candy, if you'll recall the scene where they're in the van and he's trying to, you know, cheer the mom up and say, you know, like, well, I even left our kid in a funeral parlor once or whatever. And that line was improv. That wasn't even in the script. So that was improv. Yeah, so John Candy had to come up with that on the spot. And then Daniel Stern, or I think his name is Daniel Stern, the one that played Marv, the other wet bandit, he had to wear rubber feet for when he climbed in the window and stepped on the ornaments, the Christmas ornaments, because they, you know, they were glass and they would have cut his feet. And so it was really interesting to learn that. And also, even though I have seen this movie thousands of times, you know, I still learn something new. Not only those things, but at the beginning of the movie, if you'll also recall the scene where the mom's on the phone in the bedroom packing, and Kevin's in there whining, you know, Mom, Uncle Frank won't let me do anything. And, you know, I hear her say, oh, the dog, no, we're not taking him, we're putting him in the kennel. And I realized, oh, I never asked myself, why do they have a doggy door? Where's their dog? Do you remember he made use of that doggy door? Like, he shot the BB gun through the doggy door and shot the bandits, and he put money through the doggy door to pay for the pizza. And, you know, I never really realized, like, hey, wait a minute, they have a dog door. Why don't they have a dog? But you never see the dog. And that is the one and only reference to the dog, is when the mom says, oh, the dog, no, we're not taking him, we're, you know, putting him in the kennel. But you can barely hear her because Kevin's whining at the same time, you know. So even though I've seen it thousands of times, I learned something new after 25 years, you know. And, you know, just watching that movie, and at the end scene where Kevin, you know, runs down the stairs, it's Christmas morning, and he just, you know, to be that little kid again, to have that hope that the impossible can be possible, and he runs downstairs, you know, with all that joy and excitement. It kind of just made me a little nostalgic to want to be that kid again, and, you know, just look forward to seeing all the goodies under the tree Christmas morning and yell out for Mom and believe that, you know, your family's all there waiting to embrace you with joy and share all the love and laughter and everything. But watching that movie, you know, it took me back in time to 25 years ago to discover the story of going to see it in the movie theater with my family. So thank you.
What you do?
What's that?
What did you do?
Shaniqua.